to be what's attracting you to your visitors, then you gotta have, I guess, you need to know what is, I guess, the main idea or the main of what keywords you want people to, because if you want credit impact and you want to build up that for your website, not the blog. You want to build it for the, I mean, that's going to be your number one. You got to SEO that to no end. That's going to be.
But how do I attach that to something that's just that's the application? ZTube.com. If you enter that in your browser, you go to the application. How do I SEO that? I know how to SEO on top of a blog, but I don't know how to.
I see what you're saying.
Can you send out an email?
What's that?
Can you send out an email with just telling them to go to the SCV Internet Marketers?
Yeah.
So you think you want to know how to SEO your main page?
The application.
Oh, the application.
Yeah, the application is on Amazon Web Services.
I think the same principles apply with just general SEO, the title, description, tags. What else? Yeah, because I mean, find what people are searching for, especially if you had application, append it, like through the Google Keyword Planner. See what people are searching. Find out like the main features is easy, where the competition is. Look at the competition. If you can look at your competition and see what keywords they're putting in their title and description, you can match that. Chances are you're on the right track.
Oh, okay. That's a revelation.
Because that's kind of like, that's my approach for SEO is you ignore the 30 million results, right? What's happening on the top 3?
Yeah,
what are they
I'm
doing?
so excited.
Yeah, let me know.
Because that's what Google wants.
I did like a quick PowerPoint on
so if you
some
can
of the
mimic
stuff,
what
just as like a
what
reminder.
they're doing in the top 3 or the number 1 competitor.
In particular,
You can mimic what they're doing, the keywords they're using, the tags that are using, the
Yeah, I'm
images
gonna
and
ask you
stuff
a lot
like
of
that,
questions.
names and
Okay,
everything
cool. I
like
like
that.
that.
Because
Yeah, but
and a lot of stuff that you already know.
so I do that with respect to my landing page. Then
I listen to almost every single one of the blogs that you know.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your application.
my application.
Oh yeah, it's so funny.
My application is.
Wow, that guy sounds familiar.
Oh, it's a web app. It's not like a phone.
It's a web app.
And then once you said yes,
So I serve pages. I serve
to be honest, I was listening to Terry
that text media query, and it's big on the desktop and it's small on the phone.
Right.
So it's just HTML, CSS.
I've been told that a few times.
Then
that's the not only the knowledge. Terry
not really
very
like a Google
the
Play
energy
app.
that you bring and
Right.
Not yet, but I will wrap it sometime.
Okay, so what we're talking about right now is your actual website.
leaps and bounds.
Cool.
I mean, I would have listened to see whatever I could grab from it.
Because you don't have an app on Google Play.
Correct.
So if you want to optimize your website, same thing applies. Find the competitors,
Yeah, so
right? Your main competitors, see what they're doing, look at the keywords they're using, go up to that.
Also, I just use
yeah, how'd you meet Terry?
Through a mastermind.
No,
It's
not
a
even.
mastermind.
Oh yeah.
Google,
Yeah, it was $99.
What keyword do you want to write?
It was like this. So
And then look at the top
This
results.
is about a little over a year ago.
Oh, so he's the one that he
Try
tried
the
to
top 3.
Yeah,
They're using some.
Yeah. So originally, he had the
And they'll be highlighted, right? They'll be like bold, in bold.
He didn't really have a whole time. It was like a one-time
If you type that in
$99.
you'll see
It's kind of unlimited
on the Google
masterminds,
search
but it was
results.
kind of stuff
Bold
anyways.
Los
We did like
Angeles,
a bi-weekly
like that,
thing,
right?
and one week it was just me and him on the call, and I came like a list of questions.
That
And he's like, "Wow, that was a really good conversation."
That's like a
If you want to come on the podcast.
I just don't know how to.
I thought you meant like as a guest.
Do it on my WordPress
So the
site.
first episode
It's got all the
was
stuff on it. You know, it
It's
just.
funny because I wrote out like a whole story and I wrote out all the stuff. And
Picture something.
after like 2 minutes of my story, I'm like, all right, well, that's enough. Let's get into that stuff.
When I deployed the raw HTML
But that's how I met him.
on my
Yeah.
Google site.
Cool
Right,
part
so
about
to
it,
make
like, now
description
$99 for
the
this whole
tags,
thing. To me, it's like $100 to
So
join a
I just,
mastermind.
I way too much money. I just, I just go on and on to those things.
those are the things. Those are what matters.
See what's happening. So I'm approaching it from an IU because I think the blog is separate, but ultimately I don't have to attach SEO stuff to it. It's feeding in all the.
Yes.
It's just, it's hidden. Now I have to control this, now I've got to figure out how to do that.
You're managing just HTML?
Well, it's an HTML file that's got CSS.
With spotlight margins.
It's style sheet.
Okay, so it's not like a WYSIWYG type editor, like WordPress.
Just because it can be.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So what it is you made it. You made a title and a description.
Right.
Those are what's
That's
going to
the
pop
thing
up
I
in.
would take on. It's basically.
And what I do if I were
you.
you is I would use that people under like Yoast. In your blog.
Yeah, I mean, so I feature dance. I feature dance, high school dance. I feature all my customers.
I was gonna actually talk about it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So, but you're able to see what how it'll display in Google, right? You have a plugin for that
For the,
for SEO
on the blog.
on the blog, right? Well, I mean, what I like to do is if I'm going to be working with HTML, I'll go in my blog. And in my little editor that shows me how it displays on Google, I'll put in the title and description so it meets the word count 3 times, and then I'll copy that over to HTML.
Yeah, so my plugins
I heard it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's like the analytics.
That'll do it.
That's high school dance team. Recently, I did college dance team. Not as many, but all I did was create content, send out emails. I'm gonna start doing Twitter as well. Like, just send in like direct messages like, hey, congratulations, you're number 35.
Not this week. I'm busy all the way up until
But some of them think
Monday.
it's like a mistake by me.
But
I think the ones, you know what, shouldn't be on there that are on there are more likely to share the content.
Ken, shoot me a message first.
Yeah, we might have traded cards before, though.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
Hey, Steve,
Yes.
I have the email template set up. I need to do the rest of it. I need to grab a book for it. So do you wanna
Oh, is that it right there?
Yeah. So all you do is just, just
Too easy. I got it.
put it in and hit send at the bottom.
Yep.
Just be right back.
Yeah, this is a new card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the old one, I have the old one.
Oh, no. That's the only card I have. Oh, no. I have, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's the Facebook card thing.
Nobody's here.
Nobody's there.
It actually helps to.
Yeah, no problem.
This is.
All right.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
How's the world? You did to this before? Good meeting. Really good meeting.
Hi. Margie.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Archie, what do you sell? Is that already yet?
Oh,
I remember, did you come by Thursday?
So,
Names, I
I
guess.
just really was high.
Is it your first time in Dutch?
It is.
Right.
My name is Michael.
Okay, that's good.
What are you working on?
And I just, and so, yeah.
I do probably like your own stuff.
Diane,
And I'm just kind of
Still working on
I'm learning by osmosis. Chris and Steve for like a project. They'll start talking.
We're working on something that's kind of like a Amazon tool.
Right. They still have that.
I don't.
I found it kind of useful trying keywords for commerce.
I might get it.
Like I use it for trial. I use it to like, I think it's still open. Oh, is it? I think so.
He was here last time.
I mean, I've heard the concept not that. So I see on you. Or just one series. Yeah, doing some kind of like
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, one of those.
So,
I boss.
I got caught up in a layoff.
Oh, you're trying to reinvent
You probably already know a bunch of stuff with marketing.
Yeah, well, I'm graphic designer, and then I do some marketing on social media.
It's very robust. I mean, it had like a
Facebook.
a web directory and everything on there. It was pretty much ready to start taking payments from local businesses. I mean, it's honestly, it's like a business in a box right now. Somebody who wanted to actually start promoting services for it, it'd be up and running. Because we're working on something with a little bit more promise.
Is it secret? Or
No, it's just our web services.
oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing PPC. Yeah. It's just the potential for that is much greater. But it's like you put all your energy in one thing or another. It's like you create all these eggs, right? You got to choose which ones to put in your basket. That's just what it is. I'm not gonna get rid of it. I'm holding on to it because it's still a good website. Maybe later I'll do something with it. Or heck, even maybe partner with someone later, just if they wanted to manage that, because that's recurring income, low ticket offer, But yeah, that was that.
Now I have to.
Yes, you do.
Got one viewer. One viewer. Wait.
Oh, live stream.
Yeah. Yeah. This is Google Hangouts. Yeah.
I don't know if it was like Meerkat or something like that.
No. This only went out to like the people on the list for the Meetup.com.
Cool, they don't have to come out here. They can just
Yeah. Last time we did this last month, and there was like I think 7 or 8 people that came on. I was like, oh. Cool. Yeah.
It'd be cool if you guys did like a Meerkat.
Periscope.
Yeah. Like Meerkat Periscope.
Mhm.
Oh, my girlfriend maybe I just joined Lab. You know what Lab is? Lab is part of Twitter, and it's like a video thing. I'm like thinking it's like a lab chat where you get together and you on the same on your phone or on your computer, the same thing, and people can log in.
Ah, okay. So it's like a fly on the wall type of situation.
Yeah. What's on people drinking martinis? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm listening to that. And it was pretty funny. We do talk about business too.
Mhm.
We do. It's a,
Is it asking for people or can it be two people?
it can be two people, but you can a year ago to join. And there can be a bunch of this. Like tons of those. But yeah, it's kind I'm addicted to it now. Yeah, why am I here? I want to be chatting.
I feel like it'll turn into like a chat roulette style thing. That was my first thought when I thought a bunch of people can just join a conversation, but it sounds like you can kind of pick and choose.
Right, I guess 4 people really like
Oh, okay. So it's not like some random guy who's enjoying.
But it's
They can really have to accept it. I was just thinking, I don't know if you have time for that, but people keep, so it's kind of email if you make up conversation, it's like, okay, my baby first. And then one company person is not the problem is a lot of times people talk to each other. So you have to like keep saying this much. So it's like internet joke. So it sounds like it's just getting out of the different people. It's not real. Right. I haven't done it yet, but like, was that a YouTube channel? That introduction there was like, relevant. They're all about it. It's not perfect, but it's my first attempt at trying to make it. That's what I've been doing for a while. Yeah, I thought you found it like for me.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm around.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry that we're running a little late now. I want to make sure that I got everything set up right before we began. How many of you are first timers here? Well, welcome to the group. Tonight's a little different format. Actually, I'd like to probably use this format more often. I'd like to have probably Kurt come up a little later, depending on how much time we have. We've done another night, but the Q&As that we have with the brilliant people in Santa Clarita that we have in this valley that can help others, it's kind of amazing where we live. And so there's so much great knowledge that's shared by coming to the group that we have here. So just a couple of things. The group is free to come. We have it every first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. If you sign up on meetup.com and you go to the look for Santa Clarita Internet Marketers and you sign up to get notifications, and you'll get reminders. And you usually get 1 or 2 emails throughout just before the meetup happens. I usually send one out to just let everybody know what I have planned for the evening on that. But it is also the best way in case for some odd reason I can't make it and there's a problem. That's my form of communication to the group. So please sign up for the, I guess it's called the modifier or the moderator's emails or something like that in that when you're signing up to the group. So the other thing is it's open to the public. Anybody and anyone can come, whether or not they're signed up. So for those of you who just welcome. If you found us through Meetup, welcome as well. But if you want to bring friends, you're welcome to do that at any time as well. If it's a very open group, so we encourage people to ask questions. It's very casual. If you need to leave, don't feel bad. Just go in and leave. I don't take any offense to it because I know people have schedules, kids, and I just appreciate you coming. My number one goal is to make sure that if you come with a question that you don't leave without asking. So any question that you might have, if you have to leave, you can interrupt and say, you know what, I have to leave, but I have a question. Please ask it, because that's what we're here for. That's really how a lot of our businesses got growth from the others that were here. And it's by asking questions and getting to know each other that's out here. The last thing is, it's a no pitch group. So basically, we're not really allowed to sell anything unless it's a Barnes & Noble's book. So I asked the lady who does the coordination of the room, because I do read a lot of different books, and there's one book that I asked her to bring in 5 copies of, and I told her I guarantee that I would pitch it enough that either we'd sell through it or I'd buy whatever's left and give it away as Christmas gifts anyway. Because it's a book called Ask. She didn't get it from me. So I haven't. So let me go and bring it up so that you know what it looks like. But it was mentioned on the podcast by
Pat Flynn.
Pat Flynn mentioned it, yes. Mentioned it on his podcast. And I actually bought 5 copies for my marketing team at my workplace and told everybody we need to start reading this to get us in the mindset, because it's changing the way people are doing their marketing after they read it. And it's all about how to ask your customers, or when you're doing, I guess, market research, how to ask certain questions to get the answers you are looking for. And this is the one. And it's just has a big title right in the front that says ask on that one. And it's by Ryan Levesque, Levesque. The guy has a fascinating story in itself. If you listen to podcasts, I highly recommend listening to Smart Passive Income, the interview he does with this guy. Because it'll also be a big fan about. I only read pretty much chapter 1 of it because a friend of mine told me to read this book, and this has to be one of the best books I've read in about 4 or 5 years. I highly recommend anybody who's interested in business building. It's not really internet business. It's about how the nation of Israel is basically, if you don't know this, they are pretty much the tech leaders. Where Silicon Valley is fed by the knowledge that comes out of Israel. It's amazing. And it's because of the way that their culture is. They're constantly at war. And if you don't know, they have probably the top research and developments of Intel there, of Cisco, the top countries out there. And when you read this, it'll give you, or gives me anyway, a different mindset of why certain people can be successful. And it really does come down to their motivations behind them. Their culture is a big part of it as well. I mean, what they do. I highly recommend, if you want to know more about business in the business world, and also maybe get an insight to how to build a successful business, you can take a lot of insight from the Israelis. It's called Startup Nation. And this I took right off the shelf, so if anybody wants it before they walk out, if they want to read, look at it, I'll leave it right here.
Who's the author on that, please, Chris?
The author is Dan Senor. I don't know, that's probably not saying it, Sino, and Saul Singer. But I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and it's like story after story after story of why they are so successful. And then I like Middle East history and Bible history and that kind of stuff that comes out of there. So it says a lot to me in that part of it, but more so about the culture that comes out of Israel and what they're doing out there. And it'll really open your eyes and give you a lot of insight to how business can be done here with a little bit of motivation in different areas, I guess. But I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's one of the best books I've read in probably the last 3 or 4 years. I really like it. The Ask book is, I kind of read it during a lunch break, so I'm like dabbling here and there. It's also a very, very good book. I highly recommend it for marketing in that part of it. What else?
What's the Ask say? What's the author again? I can't even read it.
What's the what?
The author?
The author is Ryan, R-Y-A-N, and his last name is Levesque, Levesque.
Oh, cool.
And the other thing is, thanks to Steve here, this camera we have, if you're not able to make it to the Meetup group, you can go to Santa Clarita Internet Marketers, and if you tune in while we're here, it's live broadcasting. If you need I have business cards up here for the group that'll give you the web address for the homepage that's on there. After he's done recording, what usually happens is it automatically creates an archive, so there's actually, you can replay it at any time, so you don't have to watch it live if you don't want to at the time. Are you able to see comments?
Not right now, unless they go to like the actual.
The Hangout site?
Yeah, or they leave a comment on there.
No, it is in the future, it is possible that we could actually have comments be streaming on that. Anything's possible really now. I've heard the quality is actually pretty good that comes out of the videos too. So that's also something new that's been going on with us. And before I go too much longer, Michael, he's been a long time member with our group, but he had a special request that I'd like him to ask, actually, if you don't mind asking.
Yeah, there's somebody here that I could rent as a coach for multiple sites.
So he's looking for internet marketing. What kind of coaching? What skills?
Everything from Facebook. I've got 3 Facebook accounts going. I've got a LinkedIn account. ASM getting ready to launch another product. So I just need a coach to kind of help me keep it organized. Too much growth, too quick.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, with minimal chops.
Do you have
And running 2 other businesses. Yeah, I've got
So
cards up here.
if anybody else He's making a card. I'll leave it in front. If anybody wants to get in touch with him, or before he leaves, if you have a card that you're interested in, possibly, if you're a coach for hire, then by all means, he's looking for someone to help him out with his business there. And that as well. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
You said something about the podcast. Where would I be able to?
Okay, so smartpassiveincome.com has the podcast with the gentleman who is the author of Ask. Pat Flynn, I believe it's probably 2 weeks ago, but look for the Ryan Levesque in the notes of the different blogs. It's not that, it's about a couple weeks old, I mean, about maybe 2 or 3 weeks. You'll be able to hear more about it. Does anybody have any questions before we begin on anything else that's going on? Or okay, so I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to update people because I know that some people always ask what's going on with my Amazon business. For those who don't know, I do have an Amazon product that I sell on Amazon. I created a private label for my own company called Pet Trainer's Choice, and basically I sell a spray that cleans up dog urine and dog messes. It's an enzyme cleaner and just a kind of a small product that's up there. So what I decided is I'm going to start expanding into a second product under the same brand label. So I just got samples today. So this is called Chew Not. It's a anti-chewing spray. My manufacturer just said, basically it's not all natural because it has some a mild amount of alcohol in it, isopropyl to make it bitter. But it's not going to kill a dog just by licking it. It actually makes them. It tastes very, very bitter. I'm dying to try to taste it.
Bitter apple?
It's actually, when I looked at it, for those of you who are more familiar with the product called bitter apple, it's the same ingredients, from what I can tell. My manufacturer did tell me, though, because I told her that I would like to have the spray be less toxic. Because it's not necessarily toxic free, because if the dog drinks this, they will die. I mean, it has the alcohol in it. But if they get mild amounts sprayed in their mouth, it won't hurt them. And I guess basically the best way to train a dog to stop chewing is you spray actually a small amount in their mouth so that they know what it smells like, what it's going to taste like, and then you spray it on anything you don't want them to chew. Then when they smell it, they'll associate it with the bitter taste and they won't chew on it. Or if they do taste it, they're not going to want to keep on chewing it. Now, in a rare case and occasion, there's some dogs that like it. So I guess every brand, there is nothing that is absolutely 100 foolproof that a dog may or may not like it because they eat their own pieces. You know, I mean, so yeah, the dogs are just sometimes they're just dogs. Yeah, they're all different. So anyway, so I got this, and this is going to be my next. So basically, with the samples now, my orders. The next process I'm going to be going through is I got the label measurements, and I'm going to go ahead and have probably 99 designs. The same guy who did my other label, I'm going to hire him, cost probably about $300. He'll create me a whole brand new label for this brand. So I need to think of a name. My other name was Pet Trainer's Choice, and a dog odor and same one were not very catchy, but it was to the point. So I don't know what, maybe it's going to be like an anti-chew spray or something, but that's going to be the next process. Unfortunately, though, our manufacturers also say that I need to buy like $5,000 or $6,000 worth at a minimum order. So I'm trying to get the minimum quantities a little lower.
What's the shelf life on it? Minimum order.
I don't know.
It'll be a couple years for that.
I hope so, because yeah, it's just purified water, polysorbate 20, isopropyl.
Doesn't the alcohol evaporate if you spray it on an object? And then
I would guess it does. So I think that's the whole idea. Is when you're training them, you actually let them know that you can spray on there. Yeah.
Anti-chew, CH.
Oh, that's a good one. I will remember otherwise. We had some good.
anti-choo-choo.
But so that's what's been going on here, and then I guess the other last part is this weekend on Saturday I'm going to be training someone on AdWords, on how to do AdWords. They're coming to my house potentially. It's kind of like intern for what I do, and I am wanting to get one person who is selling a product on, or that would like to have an AdWords account set up for them. I would do a complete free setup. It's $1,000. We normally charge $1,000 to set up someone's single product account. It's not uncommon because it takes a lot of time. Typically, what did it take? Almost 3 days for a single account to be made with 1,500 key terms that we went through to break it down to 50 with over about 1,000 ad groups and what we made out of that. So anyway, I'm going to be training somebody to do this, and instead of just trying to make up a mock account, I decided I will give somebody, if they're willing to spend at least between $100 to $500 on their ads, then we will set up the account completely for free. And once it's done, you can have the account. It's your account. So if there's anybody who's interested, I would like to have.
I'm interested. I would do it, but not Saturday.
No. The thing is,
Following Saturday.
the only thing you're going to be required to do is you will be required to enter your credit card number into your account that we set up for you.
Oh, you mean we're not gonna be there?
Nope. We do the complete setup. When we're done, you will see the account. It will not be turned on until you approve it. So we'll have everything set up. It'll be all put together. If you don't like it, you want different ads, you want to change it around, you can do it yourself or you can tell us, we'll change it. And then when you're ready, we'll launch it. And once we hit whatever threshold you want, $100 to $500, if you want to go more, that'd be great. They can see the fruits of their labor. They'll be able to learn better on it. We'll be monitoring. I will be monitoring personally with them and telling them what to change, my philosophies, why we're thinking, why we're doing things. So it's not like they're only doing that on their own. I actually really am monitoring it and doing it. So you do get the high level. It's not just a training guy figuring it out on his own. We are actually making sure that you'll get whatever we normally do for our clients.
Chris, so the service that you're offering how does that compare to the questions that I was asking you before about setting up AdWords and that you referred me to the Lynda.com. How is that? Am I asking the same thing?
No, well, you're doing an event. So my offer is for a product, okay? Because that's a very specific thing. But what Michael was asking earlier is he called Google to find out how he can set up an account, and they basically, if they want him to set it up, if he wants them to set it up for him, that they would charge him you need a $1,500 minimum spend.
Right. Yeah, for a month or something.
Yeah. The thing is, Google, when they set it up, will be 10% as good as when we do it. I'm serious. Google in fact, I do never recommend Google to let them set up anything of yours. They will drain your money like you wouldn't believe.
It's like a conflict of interest right there.
Oh no! Anybody who knows what they're doing in AdWords, who consults, they will tell you immediately don't let Google do it. And I've even heard people who hired Google employees and they fired them because they're terrible at actually doing their own thing. They're salesmen. They're nice. They try to help you out, but they don't understand because all they do is set up one guy and leave him alone. Set up another guy and leave him. They never actually go through. There's no recourse for them. I mean, somebody calls them and starts yelling at them that they screwed up and wasted all their money. Oh, sorry, and hang up. What's they make billions a month. They don't care. Right? I mean,
so the difference, though, is that you're doing this for a product, and I had questions pertaining to my own web application.
Correct.
And so, but you did say that I could learn it on my own through the resources at this Lynda.com.
Yes.
In terms of setting up an account.
Wow. You can, but it does take more than just the Lynda.com will teach you how to set it up as far as getting your account put together. But to actually have it done where you're efficient at it, you're going to need more help than that. There's nothing out there that actually really tells you how to be exactly really fine-tuned specific that I have seen out there without wasting too much money on it. So it is a little more complicated than that. But you can get started with maybe, and if you're going to be brand new at it, for anybody who does want to start and be brand new at it, go with a maximum of 5 to 10 keywords or key phrases, and only do exact match. Okay, and if you don't know what that means, what I recommended to Michael was how many of you are on Lynda.com? Lynda. Okay, so Lynda.com is a great resource to learn practically anything. If you sign up, you can get 7 days for free, and it's full access for those 7 days. And you can, the AdWords videos are like 2.5 hours, so you can go and get on there. In fact, whenever I get new employees at my place, I have them go through the SEO and the PPC, all the pay-per-click advertising for AdWords and Bing. I have them go through all the videos. They're probably done in about 2 days. I don't like them to sit too long, so I'll talk to them in between about company and everything else in the meantime. But to sit there for 1 day straight to get all those videos, they're not gonna be able to retain it all. So I used to go about 3 or 4 days out of it, and then they start getting hands-on. So even the guy I'm training, the 2 guys I'm training this weekend, they've already gone to the limit videos so they can speak the vocabulary. They know what exact match will look like, a phrase match will look like. But I've heard every time we sit down and we start doing hands-on, that's when all the videos come together. They all get the fundamentals, they understand the concept of it, but they're lost as far as how big this interface is. AdWords is the most complicated advertising system on the planet. And it has to be that way. The more advanced we get into doing the data analysis and picking on it, in order to really save people's money, it has to be as powerful as everything that we've seen. So unfortunately, the beginner is kind of left behind. It does take a while to get ramped up on the advanced strategies. So, but well, I could talk more about it a little later tonight. I'd really like to get Travis speaking tonight because let me give an introduction first. This is Travis Marziani. Is that fair pronunciation?
Yeah.
Okay. He's been coming to the group a couple of years now.
Yeah, probably like 2 years.
Yeah, on and off. And when he's not here, I know why now. The guy is like all over the world, literally traveling all over the place. But he's asked questions, really good questions, every time he's come. A lot about SEO. What I didn't know is that Travis is probably far beyond the questions that he normally asks. What happened was I listen to podcasts all the time, and I do searches for what's called product listing ads. So these are going to be different ads. When you do a Google search, how many of you have done a Google search on Google and you see all of these different products from different people that are selling, Walmart, Target. I know, John, you actually do product listing ads. Yeah, it's called Google Shopping, or the short word we call it PLA, product listing ads. And so these are coming. So I wanted to get more into depth of learning more about it. So the best place to learn the advanced strategies on podcasts. So I did a search for product listing ads, Google Shopping, and I'm listening to this guy. It's called Build My Online Store. Build My Online Store. That's a podcast that I started listening to, and he was talking about product listing ads. And then he said, he's going to be bringing on a co-host. So I went through, he has, 40, 50, 60, 100.
Me and him have 50. He has 150 total.
Yeah. But all of a sudden, I'm listening to this, and then there's this guy, he said, he's bringing on a co-host. And then there's this guy, he said, I like him named Travis. And then I hear Travis's voice, and I'm thinking, that sounds like the guy from something good. And then he talks about, Travis gives his story, and he starts to say that he has a store a company that he built with his mom on building dancewear for studios. Now, you had mentioned it before, and honestly, I always thought, wow, that's got to be so tough. How much can dancewear can you sell online on that? But do you mind sharing how much revenue you guys are targeting to do this year?
I think by the end of this year we'll do 500,000. Last month we did 40,000, but October is usually double whatever September is. So I'm hoping for like 70,000, but in this month, funny story, because a lot of people say the same thing. One of our big competitors, they're way bigger than us. They do $50 million a year in revenue. Discount Dance, and there's another company that's just as big as them that probably does $40–50 million as well. So there's a big market for dance clothing, and dance moms and people that buy dance clothing for their daughter, they tend to be willing to spend money. They're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on lessons. So $25 for a pair of shorts is a good deal if it's the exact kind of shorts. It's not one of those items you want to go to Walmart and be cheap on. You want to get the right item in the right color. So that's where we come in.
And they also do the manufacturing here.
Yeah, we do.
And how many employees?
We probably have around 10 or so, 10, 11.
That's crazy. So what is that?
Well, I started with my mom because for 25 years she did custom dance clothing work, different than what we were doing. It's the $150 outfit, and she had this idea for doing just basic pieces in 200+ colors. So it's all her design, but it's all basic stuff. It's 3 types of shorts, like high waist, low waist, and the middle, a couple types of pants, stuff like that. But our big selling point is handmade in the USA, 200+ colors. So if you're a girl and you want light ivory, good luck getting it anywhere else except for us. But the funny thing is still a lot of people come to us and buy the black that you can get at Walmart for half the price, because we, at this point, have a little bit of that brand equity, and it's nicer to wear B dancewear up there than it is to go cheap and buy the Walmart brand or something.
And how much about dancewear did you know before you
It's
started?
just the letter B and then dancewear. Originally, it was bailar dancewear, which means to dance in Spanish, but we got a cease and desist letter from a company with a similar name. It was, in my opinion, it's totally different, Balera dancewear, and we wanted to change it anyways because people don't know how to spell bailar. So it's just the letter B. Honestly, I'd rename it. It's a little too late. And my mom's like, no, you're not going to rename it again on us. So I have, I won't say it now, but I have like the perfect name. I wish I would have known earlier. But
So one of the reasons why also, Travis also has a mastermind group that he's in. Then he also has another meet, and I really wanted him to actually go ahead and talk a little bit about the other group that he runs. He runs actually a meetup group down in LA because of the population size. He gets a lot more play in that area. But also, you have your own podcast.
I do have my own
His own individual podcast.
Actually, I interviewed Pat Flynn recently.
No
Yeah, we were talking
way!
about that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's really. I met him at two different conventions, NMX and Podcast Movement. And I asked him, like, hey, will you come on my show? And he's like, yeah, let's do it, you know. So it was cool to go do the interview. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, you know, this guy is actually, if you do a search for Travis Mariani on Google, his picture's everywhere. And he's everywhere. The guy is really everywhere. He's really, but the other thing that's really fascinating is when I was listening to Build My Online Store, I was telling Travis, it was interesting. The content was good, but there was actually a lack of life to the podcast. So I was getting good information, I would listen to it, but it would be only after I finished listening to probably all the other ones that I normally listen to. It wasn't usually a first top pick that was in it. And then when he started coming on, he brought a huge lift of not only energy, but also knowledge. Now the founder of that podcast, his co-host, is very knowledgeable. Don't get me wrong, the guy is really good. He knows his stuff. They have really good conversations back and forth with different perspectives in two different ways. Travis brings a lot more energy to it and a different perspective from a whole different realm. His co-host actually does wallets.
Yeah.
He imports from China. So those of us that are actually doing importing, there's some great information about how to import things from out of the country and some of the hiccups that have come out of that. Interesting stories. You can learn a lot from people's mistakes. The good thing is that he and his co-host, they share a lot of their mistakes that I probably would have missed, and not even when I decided to bring things from out of the country. So it's a really, I highly recommend listening to the podcast. It's better when Travis, from his part, when he's there. But the guy's all over the world, so you miss quite a few here and there. Where do you travel to? Or what are you doing when you travel?
Yeah, I've spent the last few years. So quick story, I quit my corporate job like 2.5 years ago to start this company, but right afterwards, I traveled all over South America, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia. Lived in Colombia for a few months, then lived in Rio for a few months, and then lived in Buenos Aires for a few months. And then I went to China for like 6 weeks, or no, I went all over Asia for 6 weeks recently. I think you might have heard that episode. Yeah, just all over the place, basically. And that's the good thing about working online is people always ask me, and I'm like, everything I do here, I can do over there for the most part.
So what are the challenges in being out of the country trying to work at the same time?
Well, so here at home, I have like triple monitors going on, which if you don't at least have 2 monitors, I recommend getting. It makes it so much better. And you know, when you're traveling, you got a laptop. Actually, in Buenos Aires, I brought my second monitor because it was totally worth it. But that's one of the big ones is not having the right tools. And if something breaks, the laptop breaks when you're traveling, which happened to me, it's a pain. That's some of the big things. It is nice. I'm trying to get more involved in the production side of things because it's a problem area for us. We did good revenue last year and our profit wasn't where it should have been. And part of that's because we were just moving into a new place, a new manufacturing facility. But I still think that we could have made it more profitable. And we already are, we're making it more profitable. I mean, I came back and my mom was handwriting out all the orders to give them to the cutters in the stores. I'm like, let me write a Google program for this and just print out, sheets with the things. And there's a lot of like little inefficiencies I found being home. So that's another one.
So what is your background? What is your degree in?
Biomedical engineering. Nothing to do with any of this. And then I got a corporate job after that was technology consulting. So I designed like iPhone apps and.
So you know coding?
Yeah, I learned that on the job though. Like they're like, do you want to learn how to do iPhone apps? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So, and I reckon,
yeah, why not?
Yeah. Learning to code though, do you know how to code a little bit or?
No.
Oh, I think it's awesome because it's very like a logical way of thinking at things. You have to break everything down about like if this happens, then this happens, and it's helped me. I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines. Another thing I recommend getting is pay her $2 an hour, and she loves it. It's good money for her. And but when I give her a task, I kind of think of it from like a computer coding mindset of, all right, here's the different inputs, here's the outputs I want, here's the steps, and it helps it if you break it down to like a logical approach as opposed to just like, yeah, just go have fun and do it. You know?
So where did you learn? I guess one of the main things is the marketing. So what I really wanted to ask a lot of questions on.
A lot of podcasts, like you said, I think that's a big one.
And so, like, where do you find most of the information on the actual fundamentals of breaking down how to do AdWords, the PLAs? I know that you're on Facebook. You're doing video marketing as well. And where do you find the time?
I mean, it's my full-time gig now, you know. So the first question, what you were saying to him, I did the Linda stuff. I'll say I downloaded everything BitTorrent, get it for free. Not supposed to say that out loud, but
You're quick hard.
No, you're
That's
oh yeah. I'm going to though. I mean, I totally paid for everything, but lots of books, lots of all that kind of stuff. So I'd also like every day I go for a walk, listen to a podcast. There's a lot of marketing podcasts out there. So to answer the question that you're talking about, I think I agree. Start with a Linda or something. Then I think you go into podcasts or there might be a few YouTube channels. There's some decent books out there as well, but you can just kind of build up the knowledge and then you test and figure it out from there.
Can you recommend a handful of websites or podcasts I should go to?
Oh, you know what? I do have YouTube. Has if you look for, you're gonna have to do some digging on it, but I think it's AdWords fundamentals or AdWords tutorials. There is, and I guess an archived Linda set of videos that was taken off, which I originally learned on. I don't know why they pulled it off, but now it's on YouTube, and you can tell which one it is because it has the Linda watermark on it. So that's a good set. It goes all the way through, and the fundamentals are still the same.
Podcasts. I hear the word archive and it scares me. Is it still relevant?
It actually is. I mean, because it's fundamentals. It's really the understanding of the main parts of Google. So I don't. And that's what I said. When I first learned on, there's nothing that I can think of that's an outdated set. It may not have all the more recent features. I think is what it is more so, but nothing's been taken off as far as what was there prior. But yeah, the thing is, you want to know the structure of AdWords, and that has not changed. So that's a really good fundamental. It could be that another fundamental guy came in and was better.
One of the podcasts just recommend, I think Internet Marketing Master, I believe that's the name of it. It's pretty good. There's a couple, with any of the podcasts, I'd just say go through and look and see what applies. Don't listen to everyone.
Internet Business Master.
Internet Business Master,
Yes.
yeah, there you go.
Internet Business Mastery. Jason Van Orden and I forgot the other guy's name. Jeremy something.
That's cool. Pat Flynn's podcast as well.
Yes.
Check out Build My Online Store. There might be 1 or 2 episodes that apply to what you're talking about. Obviously, a lot of our stuff's going to be more e-commerce related. Type in whatever you're looking for in iTunes, and you'll find a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a great.
Yeah, Martin directed me to a site called Udemy.
Oh, that's a good one too.
They do these specials. I mean, they're like $200, $300, $500 a course, but they'll do a special where you buy them for $7 to $10 each. I bought like 20 or 30 courses. Also, Martin is doing, the reason you won't see him anymore, he's working at SpaceX to do the dashboard of the first manned Mars mission.
He's running on it? Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
All the touch
That guy's
contact points and stuff.
That guy's
That's
a
Martin.
genius. So what about his Amazon business?
He's got it on autopilot. Literally.
Yeah. Some of the other podcasts you want to just. Oh, by the way, I really want to apologize. I told everybody last week that I'd be looking for the Pinterest podcast. Yeah. I could not find it. I listened to so many podcasts, and I went back and I tried to do a Pinterest search, and so many came up. But the people I listened to didn't label it as the Pinterest link or anything that was in it, so I could not find the podcast. And I really apologize because I really did look like for 2 days. I was trying to grab it because people were asking me for it, but I could not find it. But I did find that there is a lady who just does all these Pinterest advertising and marketing podcasts. That's pretty much her whole podcast. Didn't get a chance to start listening to it because that's another platform I really haven't had a lot of time to go into.
Somebody Sanchez or someone different?
I don't remember because I never started it because I was afraid that if I started getting sucked down that, I'd be off the track on the other thing. I started Facebook marketing with videos on my pet spray, and I've seen a noticeable increase in sales using Facebook marketing with the videos. So for those of you who have been here for a while, you saw that kind of cheesy little YouTube video that I had with a cartoon character saying my dog makes mistakes and has a little tune in the background, where I just took that video, stuck it on YouTube, and it actually worked really, really well as far as what I can tell from something. It's not even targeted very well. So that's one thing I'm going to start wrapping as my Facebook marketing now. And then I'm also going to be transitioning. I've been very blessed that my work is now asking me to spearhead the YouTube marketing specifically. Alvaro, who you guys have, some of you have seen when he did the analytics, has taken the PPC that I set up and just completely blew it out of the water as far as bringing costs down by like 20%. Leads are not dropping in any form, and he's really, his analytical skills just are mind-blowing. So that guy has really done a lot for optimizing the accounts. The data, if somebody ever needs a really good data analyst and you're not sure of how much power data analysis can help, trust me, it can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've already started to see it happen in a place. I mean, I've always wanted to do certain things, but literally without the right data or knowing how to get to the data set, I was fearful that I'd be making a mistake and actually hurting sales for the company. When somebody knows how to grab the data properly out of a system and put it into charts, spreadsheets, and interactive buttons that are on Excel that make things show, you can get solid data to know that you need to do certain things. And he's been able to do some fantastic stuff that I'm like, I'm actually ready to leave. I think this guy's doing so much better than I could have ever done because of the data system he can now do. And he caught on to AdWords in 3 days. But he's a geek, data geek, so it's a little different on that. But so are you actually. I mean, I guess as a compliment, I know that you would like come out of engineering field. Right. Yeah. So you're not going to have a problem actually probably picking it up with that kind of data. Now that I think about where your background is from, you're going to be very similar to him on that. So he was able to do that. But as far as marketing go with your stuff, what other channels have you been using that you found to be some of your most successful marketing tools?
So there's 3 big ones. The one we talk a lot about like AdWords and PLAs. I love those. I recently just spent like 2 weeks or so really refining it down and adding a lot more, and it's doubling our paid ad sales, which is probably about 30% of our traffic. So I'm really excited about that.
What's PLAs?
The thing you were talking about earlier with the product and the price.
Oh, is that the
Google Shopping,
Google
yeah.
feed?
Yeah, exactly.
What is a PLA that we can probably understand by searching?
Yellow dance pants, probably.
What is that?
What's it stand for?
Product listing ad.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
all of those are nice.
Yeah, these are ads that are actually showing up on Google itself.
Oh.
Yeah,
And they're very, they're very, very powerful. And these are the text ads that are also Google driven. But
Used to pay for it.
are these yours? On your images?
The product listing ads are mine. The images aren't.
Oh, okay.
What search is that? Yellow dance?
Yeah, yellow dance pants. Yeah. So it's 4 different styles of dance pants we have there.
If you see an ad though, and you are going to look it up and you want to see it, if it says be that's where don't click on it. Because it costs money for us. It's just to show you.
I'll tell you guys something I did. This is obviously very specific to my company, but there's no dance clothing people selling there, right? No, okay. So it might spark something. It might spark something. So what I actually did is instead of doing one product that's dance pants, for instance, I segmented it to yellow dance pants, blue dance pants, green dance pants, or actually more specifically like yellow capris, green capris, whatever. That way if someone, well, a couple different things. That way it has different images. Because a lot of people, if you type in other items, let's say you just typed in, don't do this because it's not going to really work, but like red dance pants, other companies, they might have a pair of black dance pants up there, even though you're searching for red dance pants, and that's because Google doesn't always know how relevant it is. And it'll match wrong things. So I try to create products that are actually going to be what people are searching for. Also, yellow capri dance leggings or stuff like that is very long tail. Someone searching for that is probably ready to buy. So those are the things I really want to try to get people to click on.
Did you do anything special to get 4 listings, or is that something
No,
that naturally happened?
I think it's just all 4 of those convert well, and Google gets paid the most if they show my 4 ads, basically. So I mean, at the end of the day, that's what Google wants. They'll put up whatever will get them the most profit. So if you say, I'm willing to pay $1 and someone else says $2, but your ad gets clicked 3 times more than theirs, well, they'll make $3 per time or per 1,000 impressions and only 2 for those, so they'll show yours. On the flip side, so you want to try to get the things that are the most relevant. It'll drive your costs down. So I think that's it.
Okay, so one thing that also really intrigues me is Travis does a lot of blogging, or his strategy with the blogs. I honestly thought blogging is kind of dying. And I think you even mentioned that a lot of people don't give enough credit to the power of blogging and how he does it. I don't want to give it away, so I want him to explain how he gets engagement with, and you said, is that on the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
So he-
Oh, actually,
he
one
said-
of the last slides.
He sent me a PowerPoint, and then,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see it. But that's just my general story.
Travis, do you have a preference for equipment? I mean, when you're traveling,
When I'm traveling, I like to this. I use Windows normally.
the Mac is the deal.
The Mac is my old job when I was doing iPhone app development. They got me a MacBook Air. Before that, I was all Windows. And this computer is really good for traveling. The battery lasts 12 hours. It's super light, but
Less problematic when you travel.
yeah. But I mean, my computer at home, my typical work one's Windows. It's cheaper, and it works well.
just being the excited geek that I am, Microsoft announced their Surface Pro, Surface Book today. They announced it today. It's not available for another 20 days, and so they say the most powerful laptop in the 13-inch range. And they when their demonstration, they actually said compared to a MacBook, it's twice as fast as a MacBook Pro.
And it looks like it.
It's pretty similar. But yeah, they did a 3 gig file download in like 4 or 5 seconds. It's crazy how fast that is. So yeah, that's my next thought. But anyway, back to his chart. I know it's a little hard to see, but he was telling me, is that the first one?
Well, that was the first one I showed.
Okay.
That was right before I did the top 50 dance studios thing.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is actually his analytics, as I take it, right?
Yeah.
So the traffic to his website, and you can see a huge spike that's actually right here, where the rest of the chart is pretty much flat until this other spike here. That you see my shadows. That's going to be the 2 there. But how he does it is pretty fascinating for those of you who have a market with, I guess, with an audience. How do you explain that audience you have there? I mean,
Sure. So I'll just explain what I do. So for my blog, one of the big things I do, and we named it Spotlight Marketing, is we spotlight our ideal customers. So our ideal customer is a dance studio, or high school dance teams, or any kind of big organization that will buy lots of dance clothing. So what we do is we actually interview them and put their post on our blog and say, hey, and we put a lot of effort into this. You know, we ask them a bunch of questions that makes them look really good. Then I send it off to a person that writes for us, put it on the blog post and say, hey, you know, here's your article. Please share it with anyone and everyone. Well, what happens? They share it with all their friends, their family. If it's a dance studio, they share it with all the people who go to the dance studio who also want to buy dance clothing. They'll share it on Twitter, and a lot of times people will retweet it. It's like, oh, look, my dance studio is on this blog. And they'll put a link from their website to our website, which SEO geeks know that that's like the holy grail, is getting backlinks. And it's related backlinks too, because it's a dance studio putting a backlink to a dance clothing company. Google loves that. And it's content as well, because it's hard to come up. That's one of the big reasons why I started, is I don't care about dance clothing. To be completely honest, I don't care about anything to do with the dance world. At first I'd write like, oh, you know, what's the best dance spins do or something, and it killed me because I hate talking about this stuff. But it's really easy. In fact, I automated it. I don't know if you know this, but I automated it so My assistant in the Philippines just does all the work. I send out the email saying, we'd like to interview you to like 100 dance studios or something, and a certain, let's say 10% of them respond, and from there it's automated. My VA sends them the questions, they answer the questions, and my VA sends it to the writer. The writer sends the article to her, she posts it, and then she does a follow-up email saying, hey, it's been posted, can you make sure and tweet about it? Please, if you can, put a link, but during this entire process, we don't do any kind of selling. We don't say, by the way, now that we posted your article, will you please buy from us? Because to me, that's a sales thing. That degrades the purpose of it. And then people probably aren't as likely to want to share it. But we've had a lot of people, after we post the article, say to us, like, thank you so much, that's such an amazing article. Next year, all our dancers are going to buy dance clothing from you, like, we love your site. So it's a good way for us to get exposure. One thing, the spikes that you see, the two big ones there, that was, I did a top 50 dance studios in the United States, which a lot of people told me not to do because there's all this competition. I didn't, I'm a marketer at heart, so I didn't really care, and it worked out well. So we did the top 50 list. I did a decent amount of research trying to figure out what are the better dance studios. It's not perfect. There's probably studios on there that shouldn't really be on there. But that was even better because it's not just, hey, can I interview you? It's, you made it to our top 50 list. Now that you're on our top 50 list, can we do an interview as well to talk about and promote your brand? And the way I came up with this, which hopefully, like, this is, obviously this is very specific to my niche, but the idea behind it was, well, what can I do for my customers what can I do for them? How can I help them out? And I realized most dance studios are really bad at marketing. In fact, most any kind of small businesses are really bad at marketing. I'm decent at it. Maybe I could do the marketing for them for free, or at least some small part of it. And in return, hopefully they'll at least check out my site. And I don't expect them to buy just because we did a blog post. But if I have an item on the site that something that they would want, hopefully when they go to buy that item, they'll buy it from us. So, yeah.
I have a question, because I use someone virtual also. So when you send, do you send like, you have 10 canned questions, like you don't individualize, like, okay.
I keep them open enough so it's, for instance, like, tell us about your studio in 2 minutes. How would you describe your studio in 2 minutes? What's your proudest moment coaching? So it's things that can be individualized on their end.
Okay. Yeah. So your interview is basically them answering the questions, so you don't have to worry about trying to reach them and getting them on the phone.
And a lot of people will say, can we talk on the phone? And you could do that if that's something you have time for. At the time, I was actually traveling when I first started doing this. I'm like, I can't call you. I can't call basically. I'm in another country. And so I just automated the whole thing. I have different questions if it's a dance studio versus a high school dance team, but that's pretty well known.
So that's kind of what she was talking. You wrote the technical, but you need somebody like a dance teacher.
I mean, it's all pretty obvious stuff. It's tell us about your dance studio. What's your proudest moment coaching?
Just general stuff.
Yeah, like what is something that you should or you want to share with all the dancers out there? Like, what's the biggest mistake you see? It's just pretty general stuff.
Oh, okay.
So another thing that I noticed that Travis has all over the place. Well, one thing he did talk about is that he gives really good content, and he gives just really good information to people about the dancing, I guess, world just in general. And I heard him mention this on one of the podcasts as well, is that he will do segments that are very useful for people who cannot afford his stuff, and how to actually either do it yourself or how to modify what they have so they can use it for more than one thing or in different ways. So one thing that I noticed that when I was going through is kind of doing a little bit of background just so that I had a little more information to ask him about tonight. I noticed that his mom is on a lot of these videos talking about how to do certain things. How has this been helpful for you?
I was going to talk about this. So this is, I talked about the paid ads. That was probably my first one. The second one is the spotlight marketing. Third and kind of the upcoming one is YouTube. And I highly recommend anyone that has any kind of online thing. I think YouTube's the next frontier. I mean, it's already huge. But the cool thing was on Monday, I think it was Monday or last Friday or something like that, I was in the office. My mom's getting calls constantly. About 3 of the calls throughout the day were, oh my God, are you Cindy from the YouTube channel? And it's just kind of cool. Like, I mean, we don't have a ton of subscribers. We have like 750 subscribers or so. But not everyone that watches the video subscribes. So actually, an interesting stat is in a day, we get about as many views on the YouTube channel as we do on our website. I put like
Wow.
way less work into the YouTube channel. We've, I mean, obviously all my marketing efforts trying to get people to the website, and with the tiny bit of work we put into YouTube, we're getting, I think, like 400 or 500 views a day.
That's pretty impressive. I know you can't see it, but there's actually 735 subscribers to his channel as well. That's coming on through here. And do you do actual YouTube marketing as well?
What do you mean?
Like actually YouTube ads?
We don't do any YouTube ads. I'm just trying to do it all organically, just because I think we do have good content. Like, so one of the big things I'm sure a lot of people know about is instead of trying to create content like blog posts to rank #1 on Google, it's way easier to create a good YouTube video and rank #1 on Google, because it's harder to make it, or there's a higher barrier to entry to making a YouTube video, so a lot of people don't touch it. And I think the blog posts are pretty saturated, you know, like you talked about.
So somebody had asked me earlier today about optimizing YouTube videos. What are some of the fundamental tips that you can actually tell people about how to optimize a video?
Sure. I mean, the two biggest things, actually, the #1 biggest thing is the thumbnail. Our thumbnails aren't perfect. I'm working on them, but I went to VidCon, which is the big YouTube conference, and they did, this one big YouTuber did kind of like a study. He released 2 of the exact same videos at the same time. Just one of them had an optimized thumbnail, and the other one just had a typical thumbnail. And the one with the optimized thumbnail got 90 times as many views as the other one. 90 times is like, that's a pretty big amount for.
Define optimized for
Yeah,
us.
that's
Yeah. So this isn't a good example, but usually people just put up a video and they pick whatever default thumbnail. It's just some random thing.
Give you 3.
Yeah, that one's a good one. So this thumbnail, it kind of captures your attention. I mean, I'll be honest, there's attractive girls, which is always helpful. I don't always recommend doing that, but it stands out from the pack. When you look at a group of, like, let's say a lot of times there'll be 9 thumbnails or something, you're gonna wanna click on the one that's the most attractive. Maybe you'll read the title as well. So that's the second thing I talk about, is the title for SEO purposes, in the sense of someone's typing what's the best, this might not be a good example, but what's the best dance bra into Google. Your title is how Google knows how relevant it is. Also, when you first are in the video, if you say, this is the best dance bra, Google can kind of tell that. I don't know how accurate that is, but I've heard good stuff. I mean, the biggest thing, though, is getting good videos. Like, if you can engage audiences and keep them through, Google will reward you for that. So I recommend doing some kind of, tell them what the video is going to be, get them hooked, and say, like, you know, in this video, I'm going to, I don't know, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways to DIY your dance costume. Stay around for number 5, because it's my favorite way and it'll save you $100 or whatever crazy thing. And people are like, what's number 5? Like, I'm going to stay through that. And Google cares about how much watch time your videos get. If no one cares, Google doesn't care if you get 1,000 views, but they stop at 5 seconds. In fact, Google's probably going to say, that's a pretty bad YouTube video. Let's not put that #1. But if you have a video that everyone goes and watches all the way through, YouTube's going to put that to the top. And so that's a big way. I'm sure there's
So
more.
do you consciously make them short? Well, I can't tell that they're running time.
You want to, I mean, you want it, but it's not just about how short it is. If it's an hour-long video that people watch all the way through, that's awesome. But I do try to keep them around like 5 minutes or so. Sometimes it needs to be longer because that's how long the process takes. Just be conscious of what is your audience on YouTube for. Are they there to get a 30-minute video? Most people aren't. Most people want that quick hit of enjoyment.
So did you put these text here for that optimization on purposely?
Yeah, I did on the thumbnail you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think it adds like, because I don't think a lot of people look at the titles. In fact, sometimes after you're done with a video, the screen will turn into like 9 thumbnails, and the only way you'll see the title is if you hover over it. So by having the title right there, because making, what is it, a bustle with tool, if you just saw that, you'd be like, what is she doing? I don't really understand. But then you say, oh, making a bustle with tool, that's something I want to learn how to do. Yeah.
That 9 other people's videos, I've just learned this recently, and I was like, they just hide it. If you go for the embed code, and then underneath that, there's, you know, it drops down your embed code, and then there's a show more. Click on show more, and it's one box you need to uncheck that allows that to happen.
Okay.
And that way it stays on your video rather than populating with other related videos from other.
Yes.
So you're talking about when you're embedded to a website.
Right.
So what he's talking about, when you're actually, if you have a video,
or on YouTube. Well, maybe
I think
it's
it's
still
just
on YouTube, it's still repopulated. it's when you're embedded.
Yeah.
It's a common problem, like especially when people have company videos that they want to put up. And at the end of the video, like if you take that video, you put it on your website, and it's being hosted through YouTube. At the end of the video, it'll actually show other related videos unless you turn off that feature. So what he's talking about is it's hidden under a show more. Before you do the embed, you can actually turn that off and then embed it. It'll tell Google, YouTube not to show the related, because what happens a lot is your competitors, if they have the same one, that's a related video, it'll start to show up, so you don't ever want to have that happen.
Chris?
Yes.
Another thing you can do is you can take an outro and maybe make it 20, 30 seconds long.
Ooh.
And, because some people just walk away, they'll go to the restroom, but that adds to YouTube points.
Oh.
That's actually another really good point is on the outro, always say like, make sure and subscribe to my channel or do some kind of call to action. So many videos, they don't say anything at the end. Or another good thing that we started doing is a DIY guide. Like click here to get our DIY guide. And of course, to get a DIY guide, you just got to give us your email. And then it allows us to do the email marketing and do all kinds of fun stuff like that.
So an outro is the ending, where you have like your closing screen and it shows don't forget to subscribe to us, that type of thing at the end. That's the outro. It's the segment that most people put. Yeah, exactly. The opposite of
But Google now has, or YouTube has the ability for you to set where on the screen people can click and everything.
Like annotations you're talking about?
Beyond annotations, it's like click, your call to action. Click now. Click what?
No, yeah, I mean, if you be on the screen, it's just like a little annotation box.
So annotation box, it's got a link that's the clickable link.
And our info card as well. Info cards are relatively new because annotations don't show on mobile, and I think like 60% of our YouTube views come from mobile, which is huge. So the info card allows, it's like a little circle with an eye in it that people only see if they click on the screen, and so they can use that as well.
So this is a really good point, because he brought this up in the podcast, which I had no idea. And can you repeat? Can you kind of explain what he's talking about?
Sure. So on mobile, there's no annotations. There's only this thing that's an info card. So imagine.
Wait, does anybody not know what an annotation is? Okay, so an annotation is actually pop-ups that actually talk or have words in it, right?
Or it could just be like a space on the screen. You can do like a clear annotation, like a space on the screen where people can click on it. And like you said, it could just be a space on the screen that has text on it or anything like that. So it's just drive box. Yeah, exactly.
And it can be added when you upload your video to YouTube. You can add it from the YouTube interface, what's called an annotation. So like if I'm talking, and I put up a video and I thought, oh, I should actually visually show how to spell my name. And then I would say, hi, I'm Chris Miyamoto, and then I will actually use the YouTube website to put my name next to my head while I'm talking. So that's an annotation. So what he's saying is that the annotations do not show up on mobile anymore.
Yeah, and the reason from Google's perspective is it's very, on the mobile, it's like too small of a screen, and it's like people don't want that interaction. They're getting a lot of people, I guess, closing down the annotations. So there's this thing that's called an info card. So imagine if you're watching it. I think it's invisible unless you tap on the screen, but once you tap on the screen, there's this little kind of like transparent watermark circle with an eye in it. And if you click on that circle with an eye, it pulls out this little area that has different sections with different links you can click on if the user adds. So on our videos, for instance, if you're watching it and you clicked on the screen and click that little eye with the watermark, the section would come out and say, get the DIY guide. And people would click on that and it would take them to our website where they can sign up for our DIY guide. I know that's a lot, but hopefully that makes sense. Yeah.
One of them, you said you have a DIY guide. But a lot of designers I work with, they have like, a how-to like this, you have how to make a tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you come into the site, but then, if you're making things or whatever, like, you really want to show, you're showing people how to, but you really try to get them to buy from you. So it's kind of like a
two answers to that question. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there's two answers. One, most of the stuff we show is how to use our products to do something extra with them. So it's, for instance, how to make a tulle bustle skirt. You still would buy our shorts and then add the bustle. Second thing is if someone's searching for how to make a dance skirt, for instance, that's a great example. I'd rather them see our content than someone else's, right? And maybe at the end of the day, decide, I don't want to do this. Let me just buy it for $30. So at the end of the day, trying to like keep the knowledge to yourself. There's no point. People are gonna find it. There's someone else that's gonna do it. My advice is do it better than your competitors or better than other people on YouTube. Get them used to your brand. Maybe they don't buy the answer from you or whatever item you're selling, but maybe in a week or two, they're like, oh, I really like this company. What else do they have to sell? So the more knowledge you can offer, the better, I think.
In actual sales, for those of people that offer services like doing things like that, to show everything is a great way to not only show your expertise that you're the expert in it, but also to show somebody else that you're the expert in it and they don't want to do it themselves. And they'll end up actually signing up to do things. I mean, to show everything, one, it actually educates your client or your customer about what you have the skills to do, and that is not as easy. I mean, if you are an expert, you're gonna make it look easy, but more so when they start to try themselves, if they do, most people will realize they're gonna get in over their head, and then they'll end up buying because they still need it. It's a really good strategy to be really open about it, and to expose yourself as the authority in the niche, especially with the internet today, because he's right. If you don't show somebody how to do it, somebody else probably is showing it anyway. So you might as well go ahead and do it, brand yourself, and let them remember about you, because if somebody else asks, oh, how'd you make that? Oh, I watched this video, but you know what? It's probably better to just buy from them instead of, I spent 3 hours when the video told me 15 minutes is all I needed. It's a really different type of mentality, but it works. It works really, really well to get people to be more sales-oriented for what you're out there. So with the annotations, are you recommending that people do not put annotations?
No, I recommend annotations, but also do the info card for sure. Annotations, keep it like don't do too many, because I know when I'm watching a YouTube video, there's too many annotations, I'm gonna close them down, I'm just gonna get upset and leave. But definitely, I still say do annotations.
I remember you mentioned a statistic. How many people are on mobile versus that you had noticed?
Well, for me personally, it's around, I think right now with YouTube it's 50-50, but for me personally, I think it was like 60% of our traffic comes from mobile. So
that is happening more and more. And for those of you who have high traffic websites, take a look at your stats and see how much more is not coming from mobile. It is, every year they say it's the year of mobile. We haven't really hit the year of mobile yet. The main mobile is going to be still a few years out as more people start getting more and more phones.
You were talking about that last time, didn't they say it's going to be by next year, like 78%?
Yeah. It's totally
all done on purchases, product purchases.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you, have you heard about the new iOS update and blocking ads?
Oh no, I didn't.
Have anybody else heard about that? Okay, so basically, for those who don't know what's going on, I guess Apple is coming out with a new iOS update. That's a mobile device update for either phones or the new phones that are already going to have it. They're going to have a built-in ad blocker all ready for it that's coming in. We've been having a lot of discussions about it. How do we prevent it? Because how many of you use ad blocker on your browsers? Okay, yeah, if you use ad blocker, if you go to Google and you do a search, there are no ads, even on Google. If you go to YouTube, it completely skips any advertisement videos to you watching your videos that most of us actually see. So the ad blocker power is real, that's in there. I don't know to what extent the iOS 9 is going to have it, but being that a browser tool can be put and added on and can block any ad on most of the websites that you will go to. In fact, it's like 90% plus on those websites. You won't see any ads. The industry is going to start changing. There's going to be a definite move to figure out a way to still get ads in front of people. So if it's on my device and it comes as a download automatically, now I believe you have to turn it on, if I'm not mistaken, the ad blocker. But when people start to figure that out, that means anytime they start to browse, they may not see any of your ads anymore. Advertising is going to get a lot more tough. Apple's justification is they make millions on their mobile device. Millions and millions and millions of dollars on their mobile device. They want to enhance the user experience even more, so they're willing to block everybody's ads on the devices, which kind of really hurts all the advertisers in many different ways. Because now, if that's a natural thing on the operating system, and most people use the Safari browser that's on here, that means it can automatically flow through and block any ads. That means all of a sudden our mobile views are going to start to drop. And in fact, I already start to see, I am an AdSense advertiser, which means I have websites that have ads on them, and that's how I make my revenue. And I'm seeing it. decline all the time. And I was kind of wondering why, because my traffic actually has been going up. I'm beginning to speculate that actually it's the ad blockers that are being stopped block that. So our world is going to start to change based on what we're seeing Apple start to do next. I don't know what's going to be done to combat that. If anybody starts to hear more about that, please let me know.
I've noticed a change in the YouTube apps because I work out songs for people all the time, figuring out songs from YouTube live right on there. And now they've gotten really aggressive where you just have to click button to click out of the ad. They're eliminating that click button. You have to sit through the entire ad.
Okay, so yeah, if an
I'm
ad
seeing
is,
that more and more and more.
yeah, if an ad is less than 30 seconds, you have to watch the whole thing. So if somebody makes an ad that's over 30 seconds, then they have
The skip
it's a
is
skip.
fine.
Yeah, skip will start to show
They're
up.
going up to like 45, 55 seconds.
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah, they get advertising.
You can't.
I think they're coming out with paid YouTube models, so
Are they?
with like that video.
Oh.
Today, I have speed up software.
Mhm.
So my ad goes 4 times.
Oh, it does work.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool.
Today, the first time I've ever seen this, I did my speed up, but then I had to wait that same amount.
Whoa.
However long the ad was. I hope that's not a new trend.
Ooh,
Hmm.
that's really interesting.
It's never happened before.
Well, that was my thought when you were saying this is, I feel like it's going to become a war between Apple and Google.
Yeah.
Somebody's on Google, like figuring out a way to get around that.
Because Google already considers Apple one of their top competitors.
Oh, yeah.
By far, they know that, of course, because the Android devices versus the Apple devices, and even them not wanting to put the Google Maps originally when the first iOS 8 had come out, their fight is getting pretty nasty in that ways where they're cutting Google's revenue, I mean their highest stream of revenue, right out from under them off any of these devices here. I'd be curious to see, I did hear a statistic that says that only 25% of the population really does not want to see ads. The other 75% doesn't mind it, and they actually find it useful to be advertised to know what's out there. So I don't know, I think 25 is actually awfully small. I mean, I hear a lot of people say they hate ads. As an advertiser, I like to see what people are advertising. I hate pop-ups, but everything else that's on there, I do like to see. Does anybody have any questions, other questions for Travis? I'd love to have anybody else ask him other questions now that we have them.
I wanted to go to VidCon, but at my age, I felt I probably looked like a pedophile or something.
Okay, I'd recommend staying, there was 3 floors. The first floor was just for fans, basically. And I felt that way on the first floor. So second floor and third floor is, first floor was like 13-year-olds only. Second floor was for creators, people that actually make films or videos. And the third floor was industry. And industry people are all old. I don't know the right word.
Yeah, you can say it.
Warm shirts.
Experience.
Experience. So yeah, VidCon was cool. It was good. I wouldn't highly recommend it. It was good.
So do you travel for business now?
I'm leaving tomorrow for Nashville. Yeah.
For
E-commerce Fuel Live. It's smaller columns. You know E-commerce Fuel?
No, I've never heard of it.
It's another podcast. It's pretty good. But it's like a 100-person conference about online stores. I'm really excited because I'm leaving tomorrow. So.
Oh, I do have a question. Intro to podcast. Because I started and then it was just an overwhelming amount of information and I just stopped. Like, it's like just setting it up and, reading, some of the different gentlemen that, the experts on podcasts. So do you have a recommendation as far as a baby step to
start recording or listening to it?
Well, it was recording. It was the whole thing. It was recording, like the software, then getting, having all this stuff. It just got overwhelming with everything else I'm doing.
I think Pat Flynn has a good post about it where he says, this is how you do a podcast. Truth is, I think a lot of people complicate it. It's not that difficult. Do you have like a website?
Yeah, I have a couple of websites, but it's
You can do that.
better to like go post it like on somebody else's than try to set up your own. And if it's hosting, like what's a good intro hosting place to go into where it's, low setup and you can just get started.
Libsyn's a really good one. That's what I use.
What is it?
Libsyn, Libsyn.
Okay.
And I highly recommend it. It's about $15 a month, so it's a little bit more pricey than normal hosting. But the reason, so Chris also mentioned that I have my own personal podcast. And for me, my personal podcast is meant to interview anyone I find interesting. Because if I were to, let's say, find or meet someone at a conference like Pat Flynn, if I were to say to Pat Flynn, hey, I want to have an hour conversation with you on Skype, no way. Like, who wants to do that? But if I say, will you come on my podcast for an hour? Of course he'll say yeah. Or not of course, but he's more likely to at least say yes to that because there's some value add for him. So highly recommend doing the podcast. And it's just really, there's different recommendations people have for what software to record. There's a bunch of different good ones out there. You record the conversation, you upload it. Not super complicated.
Not to be too combative, but like you were saying, you think that blogging is sort of played out, and I've been thinking that I always thought I'd been on podcasts with played out.
Well, it depends what your purpose is for it, I guess. What
They've come back, okay. So, how many people are listening to the average podcast, your podcast?
Sure. I think average is like 200, which, yeah, 200, I think, when I went to Podcast Movement, that was the average number. Imagine, I mean, right now I'm talking to a room of 40 people. Talking to a room of 200 people, that's pretty impressive. Compared to the big name podcasters, which are like 100,000, it sounds like nothing, but it's still decent. Build an Online Store, it's been around for probably 3 years. I think we have 3,000 listeners per episode. And from that, we don't monetize it properly, but we could make a ton of money. I do a paid mastermind that is, I think, I forget how much it is. It's like, I think, $80 a month that people sign up for without even trying. I'm just like, hey guys, I'm going to do a paid mastermind. I got 5 people to sign up. So depends what your goal is with it.
What is your podcast?
It's called How to Do Your 20s. And I purposely did that because it was something wide enough where I could talk about anything I wanted to. How to do your 20s, like yeah, being a 20-year-old.
Is that howtodoyour20s.com?
Yeah, the number 20s though.
Oh.
And like I said, the reason I did that is if I want to talk to someone that's business related, I can do that. If I want to talk to a yoga teacher, I can do that. If I want to talk to someone that's an expert on traveling, I can do that. So it's also fun.
What kind of, I guess, benefits have you gotten out of
my personal podcast? A ton. I mean, one of the episodes I had on a guy that has a YouTube channel, Antonio Centeno, who has like 300,000 followers on YouTube or subscribers on YouTube. And right at the beginning, he looked at my site and he's like, you need to raise your prices. So the next day, or maybe a few days later, I raised my prices 10%. And the day after I raised my prices 10%, we had a record sales day. And that's, and we had 10% extra profit, or actually more than that.
What did he sell?
No, what does he sell?
No, what did you sell? When he said raise your prices?
The dance clothing.
Oh!
Yeah.
Wow.
I raised the prices pretty much 10%. I was already thinking about it, but he kind of pushed me over the edge to doing it. Mostly it's just the conversations. Like, I really enjoy having conversations with interesting people, and it's fun. Obviously, I like to talk because I have a podcast, but I also like to just listen to interesting people and ask questions. So I've also found like travel hacks or interesting places to go. Me and Pat Flynn found how to be more productive in my daily life, things like that.
It'll be really interesting to see. Has that Pat Flynn episode already launched?
No, I just recorded it, I think, like 2 weeks ago. It'll probably be in November.
So even if he says he only has like 200 listeners, watch what happens after he launches when a big name like Pat Flynn gets mentioned. Because Pat will probably mention it as well. Like, hey, he's on his podcast. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 20,000, 30,000 visits to that podcast.
I'd be surprised to be honest, but
I've heard even crazier
Really?
numbers from other people who have had other people on there that's not as big as that.
the one thing I will say, what I've been told is sometimes the big name people aren't as good to have because they won't mention it. Where like the more middle range people will still plug it because they're excited. I don't know. I hope you're right.
Yeah, he is so nervous.
Okay.
I mean, he may not mention it on the podcast itself. But
No, like on Twitter or something.
Yeah, he'll probably actually.
That'd be awesome.
I guess, have you tried Periscope? I know that's a big thing that's been
No.
talked about lately. Has anybody tried Periscope yet?
Oh, yeah, I've been using it. I love it. What is it?
Okay, so Periscope is actually the fastest growing social media platform right now, is what they're talking about. And really, it's still, it's like 6 months old, and it's kind of still in its infancy, but it's growing like crazy. But it is live streaming. So you just basically break out your phone, you hit your Periscope, and it's called scoping, and I guess you can just start talking, and instantly people who are following you will get notified that you're starting to stream, and you type in your title of what you're going to be talking about. So a lot of the big name podcasters are actually starting to scope now, because what's cool about it is you have either your iPad or your phone up, and you're talking to people, and people can chat on your screen, and you can talk back to them, and it's a live conversation with pretty much the world. Now, when I started hearing about it, I mean, some of these other podcasters are already monetizing it pretty well too. Yeah, when it comes to, I mean, I started following some people. What was really cool, I thought, I just happened to bring it up, and I was looking at it, and it shows you a map of the U.S. and all the people who are scoping right at that time. So you can click on somebody, and then it'll take you to seeing what they're doing. And somebody had posted, hey, I'm at the Harry Potter world in Orlando, Florida, I think is where it is. So I was kind of curious to see what it looks like, and touched it, and this person was walking around and just showing their walk around through the park. And as you ask questions, oh, what is that? Can you get closer to that? They would actually say, oh yeah, I'll show you what this is. And it's really cool. So Periscope is actually something that will potentially be like a whole new thing.
Well, Facebook will find a way to do the same thing and kill it.
That's a good point. That would be really cool if they actually do it. They aren't sending something else.
Twitter has Meerkat. I think it's Twitter.
Yeah, so there was actually, I think Meerkat was first before, but for some reason Periscope was able to actually get a bigger share of the market a lot faster. And like I said, a lot of the biggest podcasters are now using that as a platform. They love the way that it's more natural, that they can go on there. And then you hook it up with something else, because I signed up just to follow them along, see what it does. After you do recording, typically it stays up for 24 hours and then it goes away. But with this other website, you log into it, it then goes up and then it transfers it over so that it's a permanent archive, so that you can have followers continuously go on it and watch it.
Earlier you said if somebody has to go, they want to ask one question.
Yes, please.
That's me. Has anybody here tried a Fiverr and had it work?
Oh, so intros and outros, I use Fiverr. That works really, really well.
Specific, what kind of Fiverr gig did you order that was, marketing or SEO wise?
What, I'm sorry?
Somebody had success with Fiverr?
I had graphic arts, some graphic
Oh, yeah,
artists
I've been
done
doing
Fiverr.
Fiverr.
She's been doing fine.
Yes. A lot of people have done Fiverr.
I've done it myself, but I don't. I had them do a 35-second video that
Oh, I've done three
I
of them.
placed it on YouTube, but
I've done three of them on Fiverr.
okay.
Yeah, I have a good guy that does it, as long as I kind of guide him. But, I mean, I probably, when I finished with it, I didn't pay more than $25 for it. And for what, like you were saying, for what I needed to do to put it on YouTube or, and I just give him my footage and the pictures and, in my head, I've already blogged out, what I wanted to say where, and it's done. It's fabulous.
I use Fiverr for intro videos and outros. Also had somebody do me a 45-second claymation, which I think she lost. She wasted 2 weeks probably of her life for $5. But it was awesome.
What was that?
A little claymation video where they take like
Oh,
2,000
yeah.
pictures of a little clay thing doing that, and that was really good. Also, if you ever need a vector graphic, so if you have a logo and you want to change it into a vector, Fiverr is a great place to do that. If you don't know what vectoring is, it's basically you can take an image, and if you want it so that no matter how big it gets, it keeps its clarity. It's a vectoring process, but it takes a lot of tedious work because you have to click all around every little point of it to make it so that it does that. That's a great place to do it because it's really just work and it's hard to do. It takes a lot of time.
There's now an export out of Photoshop to that.
Anything?
Well, I don't, well, actually, it probably would do a complex image, but it does graphics very nicely. And it finds all the curves.
The curves for you? Oh, maybe that's what they're doing. They're charging you $5 for 2 seconds of work.
Finally, they're laughing.
I know.
Details. It builds my online store, not build your, right?
Oh, they build mine.
Yeah.
Oh, build mine. I'm sorry. That's a big difference.
Chris?
Yeah.
There's a free software called Inkscape. And you can put in a JPEG and it'll turn it into a vector for you.
Inkscape?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
free.
man. No, thank goodness I only did it like 3 times. I could have done it myself. Thank you. So just about finishing up here, Charles, is there anything you want to share with everybody that maybe?
I think we covered most of it. Yeah.
I just want to ask you really quick about your YouTube optimization with your description. Is there anything specific you do on your YouTube descriptions?
Talking about for me to answer?
Yes.
Well, the same thing. I have a writer basically write a whole article. Well, that's actually another thing I can talk about. Is so we have the YouTube video. We make that, send it to our writer, who happens to be my grandma, and so she'll write like a little description. So a lot of times it's like step by step. Here's the things you need. Here's the whatever. And I just take that blog post, put it into the description. But from this one video, we're able to get not just the video, but a whole blog post out of it. Then we also turn it into a Pinterest pin, which is just, you take still shots. Here's the first step, second step, third step, fourth step. And I haven't been promoting that hard, but I think that's going to be the next big thing is these Pinterest pins. And then when the Pinterest pins themselves, if people click on it, it takes them to our website, a landing page, where they can watch the full video, sign up for our DIY guide. I'm also working on doing miniature videos, like 15-second videos that just cuts through and posting those on Instagram and Twitter. So that's the other thing.
So you're using Pinterest for marketing. Have you used any paid Pinterest ads yet?
I did. I didn't make money off of them. I just, I've heard a lot of people say that it works for them. It didn't work for us.
I can't get them to respond. I mean, it was just hard. Like you sign up to say that your business account said yes, and then you gotta wait to be invited. And
we were invited. I don't know, but I spent like $500 and it got a good engagement. I get clicks for probably around 20, 30 cents. The funny thing was Pinterest said that my clicks were 10 cents, but in my Google Analytics, only 1 out of 3 people actually made it to my Google Analytics. So there's something weird there. Like I felt like Pinterest was overcharging me, to be honest with you. So let's say 30 cents a click, and average, I get about 4 page views per session, which means it's relatively interested, but no one was buying. So my thought is people were clicking, they were kind of looking around, and they're just like, oh yeah, forget about it. I might restart it now that the season started, because during summer no one buys Next clothing, and that's when I was experimenting with it, which is probably a mistake. But yeah, I didn't have a good experience.
I heard you mention virtual assistant in the Philippines. Did you have a recommended service that you use?
Yeah, highly. Onlinejobs.ph. If you're looking to get your own full-time one, it's $50 a month. Or no, it's $50 for the first month just to find someone, and then you pay them individually. I started out my VA, I think, at $275 a month, full-time employee, really smart, great. She's still with me. She's been with me for about like a year and a half right now.
She face the public?
She does the automatic emails, but like I just give her a script. Her English isn't perfect by any means. I wouldn't have her write her own emails. She does it sometimes, like if they ask like if someone emails me and asks a question that she knows the answer to, she will respond.
What was the name of that company?
It's onlinejobs.ph.
I recommend them too. I use them too.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
A lot of people will go to Odesk or something. I don't think it's Odesk anymore.
Upwork.
Upwork.
I use Upwork.
It's good if you're looking for someone for 40 hours, but if you're looking for a full-time employee, don't do Upwork because you'll pay double the price, basically.
I use that site, and I got some good people and some bad people.
Yes. Hit and miss.
Yeah.
Interview them on Skype first. I highly recommend. I don't know if you did that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I
Oh, you did?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. But I did find one young woman. She said she was a programmer and stuff. She really wasn't, but she turned out to be very terrific at administrative tasks.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And, very, just really nice person. But we don't use her full time anymore. We use it once in a while. My son uses it.
I would recommend if you're going to get a VA, one thing I found is to have consistent 40 hours worth. I mean, if you're going to do a full time, that you have enough work to always give them consistently, whether it be repetitive, double checking stuff, because then it gets very hard to think of stuff to give them work if you bring them on too early without enough work for them to do. And then you end up letting them go because you're wasting money and you're not even using them. So if you have repetitive tasks that need to be done all the time, start making a list of all those things so that when you have something, then you tell them on your downtime, please take care of these and train them up to it. It'll help you a lot with saving time.
Because I have a girl, I mean, I'm on a real limited budget, so, but I have a girl and she's really good at fashion and Twitter and the whole fashion thing. and I have Odesk, and I have her at five hours a week. And she's raised my Twitter account from basically 100 people to like 1,000.
Nice.
And that's organically.
That's all. Where's she from? Wow, that's interesting. Oh, you know, one thing I wanted to ask Travis to talk about, because he's pretty adamant about this on his podcast, about how many of you use AdRoll? Anybody uses AdRoll? I may be the only other one. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a good marketing technique called remarketing or retargeting. Basically, if somebody comes to your website, then they get cookie. That means it puts a little information on their computer to let their browser know where they've been. It's like a footprint that's behind it. Now, if they go to your website and then they go to somebody else's website that actually allows ads to show up, that cookie will tell them, hey, show the ad for this company because they visited, it's of relevant interest. Well, there's certain programs that allow you to do that, and a company that allows you to do that is AdRoll, which we found very good success on personally when we use AdRoll, which I didn't know when Travis had started mentioning it. He did a comparison because AdRoll is a third-party company that will cookie, and then it'll take ads from other places like Google or Facebook marketing ads, and it'll funnel those ads and put it up there. But they're taking a cut because they're a third party. So Travis was very excited about the way he explained how much AdRoll cut is ridiculous, right? I mean, how much were you talking about?
Well, it wasn't just the cut they take, they overcharge me. So the first time I realized it was I ran remarketing directly through Facebook and remarketing through AdRoll. And when I did it through AdRoll, I was paying like $25 per 1,000 impressions, which is ridiculously high. I did it directly through Facebook, and I was paying $5 per, or maybe I think it's something like that. I forget the exact numbers per 1,000 impressions. Let's just say, so it's about a fifth the price going directly through them. And one of the things that really upset me is I set the max bid to 80 cents because I wasn't having good success with AdRoll, and I just kind of forgot about it for a few months. And I looked back, and they were charging me $2 per, I think it was per 1,000 impressions, or charging me way more than I agreed to. So I called them up, and they're like, "Oh, there's this whole big process." They said that they'd give me money back, and they never did. And I'm just like, cancel it. So I ended up doing all my remarketing then afterwards directly through Google, and I was getting, I think, $2 CPMs. I don't remember CPMs or CPCs, whatever, directly through AdRoll. And then when I went directly through Google, it was about 60 cents. Way, way cheaper, and getting more clicks, less money. And it seems like they're even converting better. Maybe that's just me looking at it differently. But, yeah.
So one thing to take note of, AdRoll allows you to put one piece of code, and it'll feed to Facebook or it'll feed to Google Ads. And if you're doing it separately, you will have multiple pieces of code that's on the website. It's worth the effort.
It is 100%.
And especially if you're talking 2/3 less the cost of what you're spending on that. So let's keep that in mind. If anybody does approach you with AdRoll, it is a very easy platform. We use AdRoll, and I could not get Google to work. And I'm not artistic with the remarketing side of it. We stopped it. AdRoll called us. We moved over to AdRoll, and all of a sudden it's working to give us some cost. Now that realizing how it works, I'm now going to separate it back out through doing it directly from Facebook and directly through Google itself instead of using AdRoll for that third-party concept.
You use Tag Manager, Google Tag Manager?
I have. I mean, you're just talking about for, like, are you talking about just looking at the page to make sure the tags are there? Or what are you talking about?
No. It's actual.
It's a whole tool.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just looked it up. Apparently, because it kind of could take the place of AdRoll. If you put the code from your Facebook remarketing or your Google remarketing all in the Tag Manager generates one code for every single tag or every single piece of code that you have.
I didn't find it that hard just posting separate pieces of code.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be harder. It sounds interesting, but it seems like it'd be harder to set that up and then do it.
Right, but I didn't really get the difference between AdRoll versus like Tag Manager. Tag Manager is free.
Tag Manager, it takes different codes and it'll actually combine into one.
Right.
The other ones, you still have to put it individually. I mean, you're still using it. You're just using it as a tool to like combine it and put it up.
You still have to set up ads through Google.
But Tag Manager is one of the most complicated. I spent 2 days trying to figure it out. Still couldn't. But because it's really, really powerful. Tag Manager will allow you to actually even control your website using tags and feed you data of certain things that are happening. It was actually going to be used where you can actually track when somebody jumps from one website to another. If you control both websites, you can track that on that too, on different domains. So Tag Manager has a lot of power behind it. It's just too complicated. You need to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. Or maybe. Yes.
I have a question. It's not a marketing question though. How do you get started finding a manufacturer? You know, we had like, was it last month or a couple months ago, Anthony shared all kinds of tips on how to find the right manufacturer. How do you start? Especially Santa Clarita doesn't seem to have a whole lot of options.
We're doing it all ourselves. So we started originally, when we first started the company, it's me and my mom. If we had one order, she'd do it. You know, we grew, we hired someone to do cutting, the sewing, the packing, like kind of evolved organically. As far as finding someone to do manufacturing, I don't really have an answer for you. I just Google it. And then Chris, if you have a better. If you're looking for China, my co-host has some experience with that. I could set a call if you guys or something if you're interested, but local manufacturing, I don't.
You know,
hiring local people basically.
We are, yeah.
Depending on what you're making, there's a lot of manufacturers here that'll make crazy stuff for you. I mean, when I was trying to create a product like from scratch, an invention, literally, there's actually there's 3D printing molding places out here. So I gave them a piece, they took it, they used their AutoCAD guy to scan it for the 3D and then refine it to perfectly fine-tuned points. And then they took that and they used it to make a silicone mold. Or they used a 3D printer to create this thing. And then using that piece, they then created, I think they used silicone molds out of it. And then they said with that silicone mold, they could actually make like 1,000 pieces of what I wanted. But because of silicone, it would actually start to wear out. So they said, but once they knew that that was the mold that I needed, I could take that AutoCAD file to another manufacturer who would make a permanent either lead or steel mold for me, which could make millions of pieces. And then I could take that to another manufacturer I wanted to, where they would just make all these injected pieces, like hundreds and hundreds of them now. So, and they're all in Santa Clarita. Of course, a lot of them said, you know what? Instead of using the guy next door, if you send this off to the Philippines, there's actually a company that would do this for 1 cent or 5 for a penny, where the other one here is 3 cents each. So it's like 5 times the cost less for all these pieces that I needed. And then of course they said they would do the manufacturing and everything else. I guess you can, but in Santa Clarita, we have plastic manufacturers, and you just tell them what you need, and they can help you figure out ways to do it. But there's a prototyping place. And the guy walked me through it, and he said, yeah, they make motorcycle engines, prototypes. And they use these designs to go ahead and start, and they're these huge 3D printers, you know, that make things from, because you can't make a mold that's on the inside of the chambers, but the 3D printers can do it now. They charge a lot.
Travis, I have a question. I mean, your mom started a company from the ground up. When did she get to the level of, I can't do this myself anymore?
So just to, we started this company from the ground up. She was doing something totally different before.
Okay.
Before she was doing custom clothing, so someone would say, I want this elaborate costume, how much is it? Then she had the idea of the basic pieces, so that's when the answer was born. As far as when to start hiring other people,
Yeah, when did she get overloaded?
when you don't have enough hours in the day. So then you start like hiring someone to do our shipping. You know, what's the lowest, easiest thing someone else can do? And then eventually you realize, okay, I need someone to do cutting, I need someone to do the sewing. Now she never sews, cuts, does anything. She's just kind of like the man. Yeah, exactly. So you don't have enough. Personally, like for me, hiring my VA is the best thing probably I ever did, because it makes you really think, is my time best spent on this, or should I pay someone else to do this? Because your time is worth money. It's more valuable money realistically. So when you can afford it too, as well, honestly.
Because I learned a lot from the book, The 4-Day Work Week. That's how I did the virtual assistant.
Yeah.
You're rewriting that, right?
I was thinking of my hero. He's awesome. It kind of inspired me to quit my job and do all that. Yeah. The VA is great.
Okay, that's, I don't know how anyone longer. Does anybody have ask any questions before? If anybody's interested in taking up on the AdWords offer, to have an account set up, please, come let me know. Yeah. But other than that, Travis, thank you very, very much for coming out. If anybody would like the books, these are actually part of Barnes & Noble's for sale. So if you're interested in Startup Nation, that's like I said, it's one of the best books I've read in a long time. But thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Travis.
Pretty good.
Yes.
All right.
Also, we have you know, I thought
Well,
if you since I'm training somebody, when it comes to the results, that's what I think. If there is somebody that is more training and nobody has a digital product, I definitely want to.
Yeah, give me a mic.
Yeah.
So it's sure.
It's getting better now, but yeah.
That is not.
Yeah.
Like if it was a type of product, yes, by all means. Services is no good. Especially. Can you get information?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will take this is everything.
Yes, that's my old website.
Yeah. I agree. Our profit is, last month, we actually, 25%.
Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to find someone to kind of get it first, and then if it does come down to that, there might be some more training. By all means, opportunities for
I needed that so bad.
No, we only started playing last night. So we have but I feel like having all the way from that. Now that I know that there are certain things that I think people are short spreadsheets interactive. I mean, where you can push buttons and it changes the whole sheet, the data sheet. It's incredible. So I oh yeah. Yes. It's nice to have you said, I'm not sure. Yeah. But yes, analytics, the way you grab analytics and understand it, and also the mixture of analytics.
My thing was I was trying to set up my thing and I was trying to talk to and I went on the outcome and I found exactly where it is. And when I did that, it was zero data. So obviously
Yes, that would be one that you would now say, if you want to open up your analytics, so you can show you how to do it. If you don't have it, Yeah, maybe it's a little modern.
That's, yeah. It's a little bit harder to get. But sometimes it's easier because you know I can 30% on this product. So it just meets the criteria it does. With us, it's hard because our market changes. Like, we got to sell your focus on it. Yeah, market. Yeah, so it's hard to get. You're trying to build a brand.
Because of training, but because these guys that are doing
Yeah, Southern California. Search for that. E-commerce and internet marketers in Southern California. Yes, I think I tried to do that. Yeah.
You know what? A lot of times you want
That's one of the
I want to show you what it's somebody else.
coalition-based, and I think Spanish beer.
I just started on it.
I did it last month. It was just kind of cool because I was looking for a place like this. It's hard to find a room though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they spoke to me and said, "Hey, come here." I don't know anybody that's kind of just right.
So we're actually seeing correlations. Yeah.
So there's that one. And Saturday, doing like a brunch. It's really cool.
So when I
grass-fed butter yeah, it might be a little bit of something I know it makes sense. I also like these black people. They want it when they want it. They don't want it when they're yeah, like I really
I'll have to have her ask the right questions that she needs, you know. And she does press.
Okay. Turn this off.
I sent the